Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible journeys in all of nature, the 9 months that literally set the stage for an entire life. You know, we all ask ourselves what makes us, well, us. Is it our DNA? The way we grew up? The decisions we make later in life? It turns out a huge piece of that puzzle is formed in a time we have zero memory of. That's right, our personal story kicks off long before we take our first breath. The womb isn't just some waiting room. Think of it as an active construction zone where the very foundation for our future health gets drafted and built. So, how does this all work? Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to look at the blueprint itself, the fetus's own role in the story, the powerful influence of the mother, some surprising external factors, and finally, the lifelong impact of it all. Okay, so let's start with this idea of a 9-month blueprint. The best way to picture it is like building a house. You've got the genetic plans, sure, but the quality of the materials, what's happening at the construction site, all of it shapes the final result. It's a truly complex process. At its core, that's what fetal development is. It's this incredibly dynamic process. Really, it's like a delicate dance between a whole bunch of different factors, all coming together from the moment of conception right up to birth. So first up, let's talk about the main character in this whole story, the fetus itself. Now, it's really easy to think of a fetus as just passively growing, just kind of hanging out, waiting for its due date. But is that actually what's happening? The answer is a huge no. The fetus is anything but passive. It is an active participant. In fact, get this, its own genetic factors can increase the risk of preterm birth by a staggering 23%. That tells you its genes are sending out signals, helping decide when it's go time. So the fetus is absolutely an active player. Its genetics, its gender, the hormones it produces, they all send signals that help kick off labor. It's a constant dialogue that also involves the placenta, that vital life support system that the fetus actually helps create. All right, now let's zoom out a bit to the most powerful environment for that fetus, the mother. For 9 months, her body is literally the baby's entire universe. And maternal nutrition is a perfect example of a developmental tightrope. It is a very delicate balancing act. On one side, undernutrition can lead to low birth weight. On the other, overnutrition, often linked to gestational diabetes, can cause an unusually large baby, a condition called macrosomia. Let's zoom in on that one for a second. Gestational diabetes, or GDM. This is a key example of how a mother's metabolic health directly shapes fetal growth, and it can show up during pregnancy, even if she never had diabetes before. And the effect of GDM is crystal clear when you look at the data. On average, babies born to mothers with the condition are significantly heavier than babies born to mothers without it. So, why does that happen? Well, it's not magic, it's pretty direct. Any excess sugar in the mother's blood can cross the placenta. It basically acts like rocket fuel for the fetus, causing it to grow faster and store more fat. But of course, it's not just about what a mother eats. A whole host of other things are in the mix. We're talking iron and vitamin D levels, stress and depression, her age, even her pre-pregnancy BMI. Each one adds a crucial piece to the puzzle. But the influences don't stop with the mother. The womb isn't some perfect fortress totally sealed off. The wider world has a say too. It really matters where and when a baby develops. Living at high altitude or being exposed to smog can impact birth weight. Infections can cross that placental barrier. Even the timing between pregnancies can play a role, with shorter gaps increasing certain risks. So, what does this all mean in the long run? I mean, why does a few hundred grams at birth even matter? Because the impact of these 9 months, it doesn't end at birth. It extends across an entire lifetime. This brings us to a fascinating concept called fetal reprogramming. What it means is that the conditions in the womb can literally change how a fetus's stem cells are programmed. It can influence things like how their body will store fat or respond to sugar for the rest of their lives. And you can actually see this chain of events play out. Let's say there's a high glucose environment in the womb. That alters the stem cells. This can lead to a bigger baby at birth, which in turn is linked to different growth patterns in childhood, and ultimately a higher risk of obesity and metabolic disease in adulthood. One thing leads to the next. So here you can see it all come together. You've got the fetal genetics, maternal health, the function of the placenta, and the surrounding environment. All these factors are interacting in this complex dance to shape the final outcome. So if there's one key idea to take away from all this, it is absolutely this. The 9 months of pregnancy are not a solo performance. They are a constant, complex dialogue between the fetus, its mother, and the world they both live in. And that's really the bottom line. It's never about just one thing. It's about the intricate interplay of all these forces coming together to build a human being during this foundational period of life. Leaves us with a final thought. Knowing all of this, how might we, as individuals and as a society, do a better job of supporting the health of these first critical 9 months? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.